Hi, my name is Kim Ruffin, and I'm an associate professor of English at Roosevelt University and an outdoor Afro leader who loves nature and art. Inviting people to go outdoors and use their creativity is one of my favorite things to do. So it's my honor to be a part of this year's Ride Out. I'd like to thank National Park Service Ranger Valerie Baldwin, who I met while at the 240-acre George Washington Carver National Monument near Diamond, Missouri. Established in 1943, it is the first unit of the National Park Service to honor an African American. George Washington Carver had a multifaceted relationship to plants. As a young person, he was a plant doctor who took care of neighborhood plants. He went on to the formal study of plants as a student, and as a scientist, he transformed plants into several products that benefited both human beings and the land itself. Carver also admired nature's beauty by making art inspired by what he saw outdoors. In fact, when he began making art, he was so resourceful that he transformed what he found outdoors into his own art materials, making pigments out of bark, berries, and roots, and painting on things like flat rocks instead of canvas. Later in his life, his large-scale painting, yucca and cactus, even won honorable mention at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. So it's no surprise that Carver said, "Nothing pleases me more than to take my paint, pencils, brushes, sketchbook, and spend a day in the woods." He loved both the beauty and utility of nature. The colors and sights I saw at the George Washington Carver National Monument serve as my inspiration for this activity, which I'm calling the Four-Leaf Palette Poem. A palette can be a tool that holds a selection of colors. You may have seen a palette like this one that artists use to hold their paints while they create. I borrowed this palette from a neighbor just to show you all. We're going to focus on the other meaning of palette, so you won't need one of these for this activity anyway. The other meaning of palette is simply a range of colors. For instance, the range of colors that you'd expect to see in summer outdoors can be quite different than a winter palette. Since Ride Out occurs in October, I invite you to use a fall palette for your inspiration. Whether the palette you choose has a subtle or dramatic difference in color than the other seasons in your region, this is a chance to use poetry and leaf rubbings to celebrate the outdoors and creativity. You can use your time outside to inspire your poem. I got the idea for my poem as I was looking for leaves. No matter when you're inspired to write it, please save your poem for the end of our project. And when you're finished, you'll have a palette of fall-inspired colors celebrating leaves and a poem you write yourself. Here's the rest of what you'll need. 4 leaves. If they're not provided for you, be sure to respect the land use policies where you're at and gather your leaves responsibly. A piece of paper. Unlined printer paper works well. A piece of paperboard or any scrap paper you can use as a cushion and to protect your surface. Crayons without labels, because you'll be rubbing with the side of the crayon. And a standard number 2 graphite pencil. I recommend that you make your leaf rubbings by putting only one leaf under the paper at a time. On many leaves, the ridges from the veins are more prominent on the leaf's underside. So if you want to capture that, you can turn the leaf upside down so it's in direct contact with the underside of the paper that you're using. Hold the paper firmly over the leaf as you rub the side of the crayon over the paper. Repeat that with the other leaves, and you've created the palette for your poem. Make your palette poem complete by writing your poem on your page wherever you like. I like to use a graphite pencil for this purpose. My poem came to me in the form of a haiku, but as far as your poem's form, what you use to write it with, and where you put it on the page, it's really up to you. George Washington Carver loved going outdoors before sunrise. Not everybody's a morning person though, so whenever you choose to write out, I hope you enjoy making your own four-leaf palette poem. Here's mine. My cocoon begins. Time to write out and fall in autumn's soft embrace. Thank you.